Have you ever felt trapped inside your own mind, as if your thoughts were not just thoughts, but a storm you could not escape? This is the story of a young man who discovered a life-changing truth. The most powerful mind is not the mind that thinks the most, but the mind that learns how to be still. Arman was a 21-year-old boy with dreams bigger than his fears. Yet it was those very fears that controlled every part of his life. Day and night, his mind was loud-filled with doubts, regrets, overthinking, and imaginary problems that exhausted him more than real life ever could. He woke up tired, slept worried, and lived in a prison made not of walls, but of thoughts. One Sunday morning, when the weight of his own mind became too heavy, Arman sat quietly in a park, staring at the ground, drowning in thoughts he never asked for. And that's when a calm, old monk approached him and asked, "What are you searching for in the dirt?" Arman lifted his head with a weak smile and said, "Sir, I'm not searching. I'm just lost." The monk sat beside him and replied, "Lost or lost in your thoughts?" That single question felt like a punch to Arman's heart. He confessed that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't control his mind. His thoughts controlled him. The monk smiled gently and said, "Then let me tell you a story that changed someone's life, and might change yours too." He told Arman about a young man who once visited a wise master, asking to learn the secret of peace. The master poured tea into a cup and kept pouring until it overflowed. The young man panicked and said, "Stop, the cup is full." To which the master replied, "Your mind is full, too full of worries, fears, opinions, and noise. How can I teach you anything unless you empty it first?" Arman felt those words sink deep into his soul. The monk looked at him and said, "Your mind is also overflowing. Peace cannot enter a cup that is already full." Arman asked, "But how do I empty my mind?" The monk replied, "By watching your thoughts instead of fighting them, by allowing them to pass instead of holding them." He asked Arman to close his eyes and sit silently for 5 minutes, without controlling anything. Arman tried, but within a minute, thoughts attacked him like waves. He opened his eyes in frustration, saying, "I can't do it. My mind is too noisy." The monk smiled and said, "A river does not become calm instantly. It needs time. What matters is that you take the first step." He handed Arman a leaf and said, "Your thoughts are like this leaf. They float. You don't have to chase them. Let them pass." Then the monk lifted a stone and explained, "This stone feels light now, but hold it for 1 hour. Your arm will hurt. Hold it for 1 day and you will collapse. Your thoughts are these stones. You are carrying them for too long. Put them down." That moment changed something inside Arman. For the first time, he realized his suffering came not from life, but from the weight he kept holding in his mind. The monk then took him to a calm lake and said, "Look into the water." "What do you see?" Arman replied, "My reflection." The monk threw a rock into the lake, and the reflection shattered. "This," he said, "is your mind when filled with thoughts, disturbed, unclear, but watch." As the waves settled, the reflection returned, clear and calm. When the mind becomes empty, the monk said softly, "Your true self appears." Arman felt something shift inside him. For the first time in years, he saw hope. From that day onward, he practiced silence. He stopped fighting every thought. He stopped reacting to every worry. He let go of the weight he had been carrying. Slowly, the noise inside him faded. Slowly, his mind became clearer. Slowly, he began to feel lighter, happier, stronger. 1 month later, he returned to the monk not as a broken boy, but as someone who had rediscovered himself. "Sir," Armand said, "I feel different. I feel calm." The monk nodded and said, "When you empty the mind, you make space for peace. A mind filled with noise cannot see opportunities. A mind filled with fear cannot feel happiness. But an empty mind can focus, create, transform, and rise." Finally, Armand asked, "What is the real power of an empty mind?" The monk replied, "An empty mind is not a mind with no thoughts. It is a mind that chooses which thoughts deserve attention. An empty mind is not weak, it is the strongest mind, because it is free." Armand returned to the city with a new mindset. He worked with focus instead of fear. He spoke with clarity instead of anxiety. He made decisions with confidence instead of doubt. And slowly, beautifully, his life transformed. People around him began to ask, "What happened to you? You look so peaceful." And Armand would smile and say, "I emptied my mind, so life could fill it with clarity." So, just like Armand, remember this: you cannot stop thoughts, but you can stop giving them power. You cannot erase the past, but you can release its weight. You cannot silence the world, but you can silence the noise within you. Your mind is your most powerful tool, not when it is full, but when it is clear. Because the world belongs not to those who think the most, but to those who think consciously. Empty the mind and watch your entire life change. Empty the mind and let peace enter. Empty the mind and let your true self rise. The power was always inside. Your thoughts were just